If there's one thing that makes Formula One brutal, it's not the speed, it's not even the crashes, it's the spotlight. When you're hot, you're celebrated like a god, but when you slip up, even just a little, suddenly everyone's dissecting your every move. And for Lando Norris, the latest Grand Prix in Spa was exactly that. A cold, surgical takedown of everything that makes or breaks a championship contender. And the man leading that dissection? None other than Nico Rosberg. Now, if you know Rosberg, you know he's not afraid to speak his mind. The dude went toe-to-toe with Lewis Hamilton for an entire season and came out on top. So when he starts throwing shade, or in this case, straight up dropping bombs, people listen. And that's exactly what happened when he set his sights on Norris's performance in Belgium, live TV, unfiltered and sharp as a scalpel. Let's break down why Rosberg didn't hold back. See, Spa was supposed to be a stage for Norris to reinforce his lead within McLaren and maybe even close the gap in the championship. But what we got instead was a race full of missed opportunities, small mistakes that turned into big problems, and a glaring contrast with his teammate Oscar Piastri, who's proving to be way more than just a rookie sensation. Norris had the tired advantage. Hard compound, fresher legs, he had the strategic upper hand, and yet he couldn't make it stick. The pressure was on, and rather than rise to the moment, he cracked. Turn 1 lockups, wide exits, hesitations that cost tenths. And in F1, tenths add up fast. According to Rosberg, those slip-ups aren't just errors, they're red flags. He questioned whether a driver like Hamilton, when it's hammer time, would have made those same mistakes. His tone wasn't cruel, just brutally honest. But maybe the harshest jab wasn't about driving lines or tire wear, it was about mentality. Rosberg straight up said Norris lacks the psychological steel of a world champion, that when things go sideways, Lando spirals. And if we're being real, it's not the first time someone said that. Montreal, ring a bell? That crash with Piastri didn't just cost him points, it reopened every conversation about whether Lando has the mindset to lead a title charge. What makes this whole situation even more intense is Piastri, because Oscar isn't just competing, he's thriving. He's clinical, calculated, and cold when it counts. While Norris was struggling to gain ground in Spa, Oscar was putting on a masterclass in efficiency. No drama, no errors, just raw pace and perfect execution. And that's what's freaking people out. Because Oscar's not supposed to be this good, this fast. Not yet, but here we are, midway through the 2025 season, and the kid's giving his more experienced teammate a real fight. And every time Lando stumbles, the comparison gets louder. Zach Brown and the McLaren leadership have been walking a tightrope. Publicly, they say it's all even, no favoritism. Team orders, but behind the scenes, there's no way they're not paying close attention. Because if you've got one driver who cracks under pressure and another who keeps delivering clean, high-impact performances, it's only a matter of time before priorities start to shift. There was even a small controversy with the car's battery system at Spa, something that supposedly compromised Norris's rolling start. But even after the team tried to downplay it, Rosberg wasn't having it. He basically said, tough luck. At this level, excuses don't cut it, especially when both your drivers are fighting for the championship and there's zero room for tech errors. So now, we've got a storm brewing, and the rest of the season, it's going to be straight up warfare. Spa wasn't just a missed opportunity for Lando, it was a turning point, and not the good kind. You could feel the shift in the air as Oscar Piastri crossed the line ahead of him, the quiet confidence, the subtle momentum swing. While Norris was left defending his mistakes on camera, Piastri barely flinched. He knew what he'd done, and maybe more important, he knew what Norris hadn't. Let's talk about that rolling start. This was supposed to be Norris's moment to assert control, set the pace, and hold position. Instead, it turned into a slow motion unraveling. According to Rosberg, the hesitation was glaring. Lando had the power to catch Oscar off guard, dictate the moment, but he hesitated. Oscar stayed glued to his diffuser, like a shark smelling blood. And once they hit Eau Rouge, it was game over. Norris didn't defend, didn't cover, didn't commit. Rosberg called it out instantly. "You can't play it safe when someone's literally in your gearbox," he said, and he's not wrong. F1 is ruthless. The moment you leave a door half open, someone's kicking it down. And in this case, that someone was Piastri. But it wasn't just one move. It was the ripple effect. That weak restart put Lando on the back foot for the rest of the race. Every lap afterward felt like he was chasing shadows. Even with fresher tires, even with the supposed strategy edge, he just couldn't bring the car to life. The lockups, the offline braking, the missed apexes, they all added up. And what's worse, they didn't come from lack of skill. They came from trying too hard. Norris later told the media he was doing qualifying laps every lap, pushing the car to its edge. But Rosberg clapped back hard, saying that being on the edge isn't an excuse to throw away 3 corners. He even threw in a comparison to Hamilton, wondering if a true champion would have let it slip like that. The implication? Norris isn't there yet. Not mentally, not consistently. And that's the Achilles heel people keep coming back to. Not his pace, not his talent, but his confidence. Or rather, the fragility of it. You don't see it when he's leading, but when things start to fall apart, it's like a mirror cracking. Tiny fractures that eventually split wide open, and with someone like Oscar right next to him, steady and emotionless, the contrast is impossible to ignore. McLaren boss Andrea Stella did his best to defend Lando, mentioning that both cars had anomalies and that leading the restart pack is always tricky. But his words felt more like damage control than anything else. Even if the battery glitch played a role, it didn't explain everything. It didn't explain the lack of aggression, the failure to recover, the defeatist body language after the race. Meanwhile, Piastri just kept it moving. Calm, efficient, almost robotic, and maybe that's why people are calling him the machine. He doesn't overthink, doesn't dwell, he just races. It's not flashy, but it's devastatingly effective, and when you pair that with a championship caliber car, that's a dangerous combination. Now the media is shifting, the vibe in the paddock is shifting. Everyone expected Norris to be McLaren's guy, the face of their comeback. But now it's looking like he's fighting to prove he belongs at the top, not just within the team, but in F1's elite tier altogether. If there's one thing we've learned in this sport, it's that talent gets you in the room, but mindset keeps you there. And right now, Piastri's got both. Norris, he's got questions to answer. The Hungarian Grand Prix is next, and if there's any track where Lando Norris can reclaim some footing, it's this one. He's stood on the podium there multiple times, and historically, it suits his driving style. Tight corners, high downforce, big rhythm energy, but none of that will matter if the mental fog isn't cleared, because at this point, it's not about potential, it's about execution under pressure. Zach Brown's been vocal about it. He insists the team isn't playing favorites, that both drivers get the same machinery, the same strategy chances, the same treatment. And honestly, he's not wrong. McLaren's been walking the line well, but neutrality only works when both drivers are delivering. Once one starts slipping, even slightly, that balance starts to tilt. And Oscar Piastri is making it hard not to notice. He's not just driving fast, he's driving smart, he's adapting mid-race, choosing battles, playing the long game. While Norris is reacting, Piastri is anticipating. That's a subtle but massive difference when you're chasing points in a title fight. In Belgium, the data tells the story. On identical tires over similar stints, Oscar was managing degradation better, extracting more pace in crucial moments and doing it with less wear and tear on his lap times. Norris, on the other hand, seemed to be burning his tires, and maybe his patience, trying to force moves that never fully materialized. It's almost ironic. For years, Lando was labeled the next big thing, the guy with the charisma, the fan base, the speed, but now that the pressure's real, the expectation's heavy, and the teammate threat very real, that next big thing tag is starting to feel more like a burden than a badge. The Rosberg comments didn't come out of nowhere. Nico's been watching this team dynamic evolve. He knows the psychology of elite rivalries inside out. He's lived it. When he draws comparisons to Hamilton, it's not to belittle Lando, it's to highlight what greatness under fire looks like and how far Lando still has to climb to get there. McLaren, in the meantime, has a dilemma brewing. Right now, both drivers are still allowed to race freely, but as the season winds down and the points gap to Red Bull or Ferrari fluctuates, team orders might become necessary. And when that moment comes, when someone has to be prioritized, who do you back? The experienced favorite who's wobbling, or the silent assassin who just keeps bringing the car home week after week? Piastri's new contract was clear. He wanted equal status, and McLaren gave it to him. But equal only lasts as long as the results do. And right now, Oscar's writing his story with clean data and shiny trophy. Lando? He's still stuck in the footnotes. There's still a lot of racing left. Anything can happen. But the reality is, Lando Norris is approaching a career crossroads. If he wants to be more than just the guy who makes great memes and cracks jokes in interviews, he's going to have to start making statements on track. Loud ones, clean ones. Because if the 2025 season continues like this and Piastri walks away with the championship, or even finishes ahead in the standings, it won't just be another tough year for Lando, it'll be a defining one. The year he either rose to the occasion or quietly became McLaren's second option. And in F1, no one remembers second.